as we get into these 7 pillars, think about your own organizations, and is culture living at the same level as your strategy as a priority? Think about that. The first pillar is C. C, meaning commit to hiring for attitude. For attitude. Founder of Southwest Airlines famously said, "You don't hire for skills, you hire for attitude. We can always teach the skills." Now I'm going to temper that a little bit, because I don't want you to think that at Southwest we're hiring pilots and then teaching them how to fly. Okay, they do come with a few skills and about 1,500 hours minimum of jet time, and they have a type rating and a 737 and all that. Okay, but really when I interpret this, what he means to say is set their education, set their skills, and set their experience over here to the side. This is a metaphor for asking you to think deeply in your hiring process about questions that go beyond the standards. The standard questions. Go beyond that. Make sense? Okay? Get creative about your questions so that you can find out if they are one of these people or they take their carts to the to the corral. Second pillar. Undertake corporate evangelism. Corporate evangelism. Ladies and gentlemen, we're not talking about drinking the Kool-Aid here. Drinking the Kool-Aid is short-term stuff. You drink it, you get a little high, a little sugar high, and you feel good about the company and the product and the processes and so forth. Now, we're not talking about drinking the Kool-Aid. We're talking about something permanent, getting the tattoo. That's when you know you got true corporate evangelism. Chris, you think Hell's Angels has got true corporate evangelism?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Every chapter, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Now, I'm not suggesting we start, getting the leathers out and everybody's got to have a steel pony, okay? But what I am suggesting is when you get on that level, like Southwest Airlines is, then you know you have true corporate evangelism. Well, how do you get there? You got to have a cause. Hell's Angels got a cause, right? You have a mission. You have a mission, whatever that happens to be in the production of your products, right? But that's not a cause. Now, and you got to be all in. That's Herb Kelleher, and he's got the tattoo. That's not photoshopped, but it is a henna tattoo, so he can change it out depending on the cause. Get your employees deeply involved in everything that you do, by the way, including your financials. Oh, now I can see people squirming, okay? We're not talking about sharing salaries here. And for those of you that don't think employees understand a P&L, you're probably right. Gross revenues, cost of goods sold, then we start down the expense line item, so forth. Even though they don't understand it, and you might explain it to them verbally, show it to them physically. It's not really about you. It's about who you are lifting up so that they become the next generation of managers and directors and VPs and CEOs. This, ladies and gentlemen, is your primary job. And when you do this, I know you're busy with strategy, I know you're busy with meetings, I know you're busy with bids, but the quicker you focus on lifting these people up, you're not going to believe how much more time you have on your hands for yourself and your family and these other projects that come across your desk. Because why? Because when you're lifting them up, they're going to do the heavy lifting for you without any supervision or minimal supervision. And that's from the warehouse forklift picker, okay, to the person doing the cutting, to the person doing the texturing, all the way up. Think about your personal perks that you can occasionally give to your employee group, whether it's from the warehouse, factory floor, cutters, forklift pickers, all the drivers, all the way up. What can you share on an occasional basis for recognition that are part of your perks? This is going to help cement your reputation as a leader. I don't know if you want to lend them the Polaris. They crash it. You got it insured, right? But I don't know if it's your parking spaces. I don't know if it's something else that you have perks of that you can give them temporarily as a recognition program. Management by walking around. And if you find yourselves buried in your office with phone calls and paperwork, figure out a different path, my friends, and get out there with some MBWA so that you can identify those roadblocks and start clearing them out before your people even have to come to you. Because I will submit to you that some of your staff, they're not afraid of you. You're not bad people. You're not ogres, but they just are afraid to say that this is a roadblock. Or you have the opposite, where they come to you with 7 alarm fires every other day, which is not really a roadblock because they're not thinking clear enough or creative enough at solutions. But it's your job to help them think about solutions. Colleen very candidly says that anytime I've had to exercise discipline or terminate an employee, I've done it with love. And some of them, she goes on to say, have remained friends of hers. Imagine getting terminated at Southwest Airlines and still a friend of Colleen's. It's all about how you go about the discipline and doing it with love. I took some of that. Unfortunately, I've had to have my share of a few terminations as well. And I did it based on these principles in here, okay? Don't delay in doing it either. Don't have your supervisors, your directors, your VPs delay either, because someone that doesn't fit, yes, they need to be escorted to the door, metaphorically, with love, but don't ignore the issue, because it will erode your culture, because the rest of the employee group knows that they're not a fit and should have gone a long time ago. And I think some of you all know what I'm talking about, right? It happens in any organization. It's not, no organization is immune to making a hiring mistake or someone that just unfortunately over time becomes bad fit. But it's your role and responsibility to fix it before it materially affects something that can't be cured in the rest of the organization. So let them challenge you. Let them challenge you with their ideas. Don't just say I have an open door policy. Okay, that's too cliche. Say, forget about open door policy. I want you to challenge the prevailing wisdom, because I don't need yes people. If I make a decision that is different than what you suggested, okay, don't take it personal. I will come back and tell you. I think most leaders are afraid to take suggestions sometimes, because if we don't adopt it, it's like Pandora's box. Okay, here's all the suggestions, but if you don't take their suggestion, it's like, okay, now they're going to be angry at management. No, just explain to them why. They care more about being heard. As a human being, they care more about being heard than they do about having their idea adopted. So encourage them to challenge the norm, encourage them to challenge the prevailing wisdom or your ideas. You don't need yes people. You need people that will challenge you. You're still the boss. You still get to make the decision. Training, training, training. There's an old parable that's the CFO says, what if we train them and they leave? Worried about the money, right? And the CEO says, what if we don't and they stay? But here's a couple of HR-friendly movies as an example. For operations, for sales, for administration, for janitorial, Seabiscuit. Seabiscuit, HR-friendly. Have them watch it from supervisors on up. And then again, report back to you, what'd you get out of it? Maybe it's a one-page summary of what they got out of it as it relates to their job. Maybe it's a meeting where everybody shares what they got out of it. Cross-pollinating. Oh, that's interesting, Chris. I hadn't thought about that. I was looking at it from a different perspective. You're training everybody, and all you did was ask them to watch a movie, and you get layered on training when you have the meeting, and they're sitting around talking about it and sharing what they got out of it. It's incredible. And you can have them read books too. Now, salespeople, this is going to blow your mind. I've had salespeople watch, wait for it, The Sound of Music. What? Salespeople? Yeah. If you think about it, she was using persuasion skills with the kids and with the colonel. Was she not? Remember all the nannies that had been cycling through there, had been fired? Julie Andrews shows up and she's got more persuasion skills and staying power because she's persuading the kids and persuading the colonel, so she's working it all, and of course the rest is history. Use humor and humility. Release control for decisions. Most of us in this room, if we were to take a Myers-Briggs today or take the DISC test, we'd be the type A's, we'd be the reds, right, on the color code test, most of us. But you got to start releasing control for decisions. That's part of developing your people. It's very difficult. Let them fail. Let them fail. Not sink the company. Let's not sink the company here. And let's not cause any bodily harm, okay? You're in an industry that has some danger to it with the machinery that you are using. But for other decisions to develop them up, okay, let them fail occasionally. Richard Branson said once, and I always have said that I thought Richard Branson was Herb Kelleher's mother from a different brother, right? Because they're very much alike personality-wise. Branson said, if you're not failing occasionally, if you've never failed at anything, you've never tried hard enough to succeed. That's what Branson says. So think about that. Let them have some leash. Let them fail, and don't give them the I told you so. Just say, what did you learn from that? Not I told you so. What did you learn from that? If you treat your people like family, like absolute family, they are going to treat the customers like family, and the net profits will flow without question. Gross margins and cost of goods sold, when you've got the right corporate evangelism going on and you've got a winning culture going on, okay? Because if you're taking care of the employees like family, they're taking care of the customers, and the net profits, whether you're publicly traded or privately held, are going to flow. That's a promise. It's been proven by Herb. I proved it in a trade association. It wasn't profits, it was just revenue over expense. And I had competitors that had 5 times the budget that I had in my trade association. What was my trade association? Booking conventions for the city of Albuquerque. Phoenix was outspending me, Tucson was outspending me, Salt Lake was outspending me, San Antonio was outspending me, and I'm telling you, I built a culture that I took from Southwest Airlines, implemented it at this trade association, and I killed them. I mean, they're still alive. I mean, they're still around, okay? But we got their attention. We got their attention, and we took some of their market share. They can't have all the convention business. Got to spread it around. Here it is. The 7 pillars. Commit to excellence, undertake the corporate evangelism. Leaders must be servant. Training, training, training. Use humor and humility. Release control for decisions. And exercise the power of praise. People don't leave jobs generally for money or a company. They tend to leave their boss. Their direct report is what they tend to leave. Now that said, there can be other dynamics going on. And some people do make, shall we say, short-sighted decisions about leaving for greener pastures, right? So don't think it's about money right off the bat and that, you know, they left our company for another $1 an hour. Start digging around and do some exit interviews. That's my first suggestion would be, if I were consulting you today, okay, I want to meet with every employee that leaves over the next 6 months, okay? And I want them to be honest. And I want them to tell me exactly why. And I'm going to start identifying some trend lines, and then I'm going to go start correcting those trend lines.